Thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers for having me. In particular, I was here in Kerala just 2 weeks ago, and at the invitation of Secretary Jyotilal, he said I should come and attend this conference. So I made the trip back just for the day because of the great meeting that I had with the Secretary. I want to begin with just a small personal anecdote. I have been in India now for 3 years. My heritage is actually Sri Lankan. I was born in Australia. But after 3 years, I had to decide whether to stay on in India. And it happened that that decision came to me on a day when the pollution in Delhi was, I think, beyond 2000 levels. It was a very, very difficult time in Delhi. And both me and my wife, we decided to extend our posting in Delhi by a year. And for me, there was just one reason for that. And that it was really well exemplified by the first panel session. Leaders like Secretary Jyotilal and Secretary Bhalla are really quite prevalent in the Indian system, but quite unique when you look at the global setting. The ability of India's political masters, but also your bureaucracy and your leaders at the officials level to be able to set really ambitious targets, huge targets, but then also follow through at the granular, detailed level is absolutely remarkable. So Secretary Jyotilal, thank you for inviting me back for this session. I want to go through a couple of those areas of cooperation that Australia has now identified with India, but really situate them also in that bigger picture, because without the bigger picture, I think we lose heart, we lose direction, we lose sort of direction, but without the detailed follow through, we sort of lack progress. The Australia-India relationship, I think, besides the recent Champions Trophy, is kind of at a high. Our two Prime Ministers, Prime Minister Albanese and Prime Minister Modi, in November signed the Renewable Energy Partnership between our two countries. And there are some really core distinct areas that we are looking to focus in on that cooperation. The first is that we not only have a lot of sort of confidence in India's leadership, but we have a lot of confidence in India's young people and workforce. We are building, one of our ambitions is that we want to train solar technicians and solar helpers in the Indian system to help drive India's rooftop solar transition in particular. Critically, India will need about 1 million workers trained to meet your 500 gigawatt target. But what Australia would like to see happen is that a small stream of those will be trained to standards that are recognized in Australia as well as here in India. So they will form a pool of talent and workers that can migrate and also be used in the Australian energy transition. So we're doing two things in that regard. Firstly, we are building a course stack with the help of an Australian knowledge partner that will calibrate these technical training to Australian vocational training standards. That's the first, and that will be a large project which will require extensive industry consultation of both sides. But the second is that we are building a network of solar training academies, and this is where I can confidently say that with Secretary Jyotilal's help, we will come to Kerala and be able to set up one of these solar training academies. The first one will be elsewhere in the country, but we will bring together Indian industry, Australian knowledge partners like Deakin University and the Kangan Institute and others, and combine that with the skills councils in India to deliver quality training which is recognized in both countries. So that's the first thing on solar training. The second aspect is that Australia has led in discrete elements of renewable energy technology for many decades. PERC technology that is standard in most solar panels today was invented at the University of New South Wales in Australia. by Professor Martin Green and his team. But that tradition of cutting-edge solar PV technology exists in Australia. We have technology in discrete aspects of hydrogen electrolyzers as well as battery technologies, and we want to bring that and connect it with Indian manufacturing at this end. So the two prime ministers launched this partnership, and under that there is significant funding to be able to connect Australian research expertise with Indian manufacturing industry. So if you're a manufacturer in the renewable energy space and you see opportunities to collaborate with Australian researchers, please come and contact me. Our National Science Agency, CSIRO, is coordinating that outreach, and we have funding to be able to bring those researchers to India. I also want to talk a little bit more about specifically hydrogen. So in November 2023, in fact, the two prime ministers launched a hydrogen task force between the two countries. That included leading experts on both sides, but also Indian industry and Australian industry. Now that task force is soon to release its recommendations, but I have had a sort of sneak peek of that, and a number of things that I want to highlight from that before, in my session here today. The first is on the technology side of things, but not just in the electrolyzer space. Australia is has leading capability in materials related to electrolyzers, but also in the materials like carbon fiber that are used to store hydrogen. So we are establishing working groups that will help drive some of that collaboration between the two countries. The second is in industrial uses of hydrogen, and the first that was identified by the task force will be identified is around methanol. So here in a place like Kochi, where you can see the beautiful harbour and ships moving all over the world, we see a great opportunity for Australia and India to collaborate on green chemicals, including methanol, and also in the green steel area. So Australia and India are already partners on steel. We export more than half of India's metallurgical coal use for its steel, that drives its current steel sector. But Australia also has iron ore resources, including magnetite resources that are well suited to green steel. Now, at the present time, of course, green steel is still some way off being commercially viable with traditional steel. But in Australia, we have a lot of land, we have the capacity and major projects on hydrogen emerging, which we see as an opportunity to create green hydrogen in Australia, to use that to create hot briquetted iron in Australia and export that to India's steel majors to create a genuine line of green steel. That's a process that we are working on heavily. We had the South Australian Trade Minister here just a few weeks ago, and the South Australian Premier will visit in a week or so to engage with India and on potential areas for steel collaboration. Finally, in the hydrogen space, the skills element is again inescapable. So one thing that I would like to explore with our Indian colleagues is expanding the training I described earlier on solar to encompass not just solar PV and installations and rooftop solar, but also manufacturing and vocational as well as skill training in the hydrogen space. So I guess I'll conclude by saying this is an invitation, and not only to our government officials to say, if you are interested in this skills cooperation with Australia, we are very pleased to explore those opportunities in India. Secondly, to industry players here in the room, that if you want to partner with us on technology development and technology collaboration, we in the Australian government are behind you. We will help that collaboration to happen. And finally, with India's biggest resources players, we want to continue to be a major provider of energy and resource exports, not just in the traditional economy, but going forward into the green economy. We want Australian polysilicon to be a part of India's solar panels going forward. We want Australian lithium to make it into India's batteries, and we want Australian iron to be part of India's steel industry. So thank you, I'll leave it at that.